Jordan Taylor, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Happy to have you here and also happy to have you at VIR for Lightning Lap. Personally, it was awesome to see the Garage 56 car in person. I'd watched it at Le Mans, of course, and all over online. It was amazing to see that thing in person.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we kind of grew up through the evolution of the car, being at the track at all the tests and kind of seeing the progression of it. And most of it was like private testing, and you'd see clips here and there of it online. But I think once it got to Le Mans, seeing like the fan response of how insanely popular it was amazing. So to be able to come and do the lightning lap in it was an honor. I think it might be one of the last kind of competitive things it ever does in its existence. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I felt some pressure to do a good lap in it, but I think we did it proud.
We'll get to some of the pressure that came up later, but a little bit about yourself. You've, of course, won 24 Hours of Daytona. You do prototype driving at IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. Your sports cars, prototypes, NASCAR. You do a lot of this stuff, so you know what's going on with a car on this kind of racetrack, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been going to VIR probably since 2000. Actually, it was where I first got my first professional win back in 2011 with Bill Lester back in Grand Am. So yeah, I guess I've been going there for over a decade now, which makes me feel old. But yeah, I've been a sports car guy. I grew up in a sports car family with my dad, who was a driver and now a team owner. And then my brother and I were teammates for many years. We won Daytona, Sebring, Petit Le Mans, and the championship together back in 17. And kind of since then, I've been with Corvette Racing. And then next year, I'll be back with Wayne Taylor Racing in an Acura prototype car.
That would be really cool to see. You've done Grand Course before, right?
I don't think this was my first time. I think I had done it on iRacing before. I did a couple laps definitely before I went for the lightning lap to kind of make sure I knew where it went. But I think I did the cut through once, but just using the one side of the track. I've never done the full thing. So I was nervous to kind of have to learn it and then have to go for like a fast lap in such a short time period, especially with how limited the running is on that day. But yeah, the track was awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool to experience that track in its entirety, because when you do the Grand Course, you have like so many distinct personalities on that track. You have the fast, hairy stuff in the FLSs. You have the technical, slow stuff on the infield. It's really cool when you blend it all together.
Yeah, it's like a little Nürburgring that we have here in America. And I think I've only ever done the full course, which is one of my favorite tracks in the country, if not the world. So to mix in the Grand Course sections is something which was new to me, but I couldn't believe how much more elevation there was, even when you come off the full course and you go up and over that first crest where you can't see anything, and then you go through the next section, which you'll even see on my lap. I kind of misplaced the car a tiny bit going down the second section, but yeah, the flow of the track is incredible. The elevation change is crazy. It definitely gets super tight and technical, which didn't exactly suit, I think, a NASCAR, but I think the car handled the track pretty well. All right, here comes my lap for lightning lap in the 2023 Garage 56 Camaro. You can see coming up here, tighten my belts one last time for this one go at it. The tires were only good for one kind of peak lap, so I knew I needed to nail it. Coming to turn one, big brake zone. Locked the rears big time right there and considered kind of bailing on this lap and going again, but decided to stick with it. We were on kind of a time crunch that day. Coming into turn 3 here, difficult brake zone, turning in, a little bit of understeer going to the apex, using all the road on exit. Tight section here, wanting to use all the curbs inside here, not wanting to exit all the way as the track falls off. Lower S's, climbing over all the curbs again. The car suited the curbs extremely well, which was nice. A little breather here before coming up to the S's. Took me a good few laps to be able to go flat through here. A little over 160 miles an hour over that second one. A little lift at the top of the hill. Quick brake down 2 gears. Early turn in, you want to hit that inside curb, all the road on the exit. Then the trickiest brakes on the track into Oak Tree. Easy to lock fronts. Don't want to touch this inside curb, but you want a good exit. Using all the road again on the exit. I think at this point I thought the lap was going okay. Coming up to the Grand Course, kind of cut off here, off the back straight. Another big brake zone. And you can see as soon as we kind of come off the full course on the Grand Course, you kind of lose a bit of grip in the surface change. You kind of lose a bit of grip. You can see struggling for traction coming out of here. Then we come into the real tight technical section of the Grand Course. Not really designed for a NASCAR, but the car handled it well down the hill here, all over the curbs. Very tight hairpin here. Have to be very patient with the rotation, getting back to power. Blind section here, very tricky to kind of find a point of where to turn in. Crushing all the curbs, going down the hill. Bottoms coming off the second one. Waiting on the front here to get good rotation and direction change. Nice flow through here though, these direction changes. Short shift there to get better traction coming out. Heading back onto the full course, and you can see immediately the grip level kind of comes up and you can roll and attack a little bit more of these apexes. Flat out down the hill, 2 more corners to go. Tires have been tortured to this point. Crushing the curbs again coming down the hill, and that was the lap, and I think we were pretty happy with it at this point of the day.
There it is, 226.7, almost kissing 170 at the end of the front straight. That's so fast.
That car was a beast. Oh my gosh.
The sound that thing made every single time it went by just made me giddy. That was so cool. Seeing you also go into the S's over 160 is, I think the fastest street car we had was like 130 something in the S's.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, it took me a while to get flat over that second one. The first run of the day, I was doing like half a lift kind of over that second curve, and like, because it would kind of bottom off of it. I'm like, I think it's probably possible to do it flat. It's probably not worth any lap time, but more for ego than anything. You got to try to do it flat. Just
to say you can do it. I totally get that. So starting at the entry into 1, you locked up the rears there. That looked pretty hairy, and you thought about throwing the lap away entirely.
Yeah, so like Goodyear developed a tire for the car, and at Lamont, it suited the Trek very well. But at a track like VIR or Sebring or Coda, where we were testing, tire deck was a big thing. So to go for 1 lap, you kind of bring them in slowly and get temp in them right before the lap starts, and then they're good for 1 lap. And then you can even see during the lap that I was kind of losing grip as the lap went on. So as soon as I had that big moment in turn 1, I'm like, I could just bail here, save the tire, and restart next time. And I figured, like, I braked so late that lap, I probably made up a good chunk of lap time just from the brake zone. I maybe lost a tiny bit at apex, but I think it would probably cancel itself out. So I decided to kind of push on from there. And the rest of the lap, I think, was pretty clean. There was probably a tiny little bits of lap time here and there, but I thought we kind of maximized it on that one. I was pretty happy with it.
Yeah, it was also really cool seeing that car just eat those curbs like no problem whatsoever, right over the top of them. Most cars don't take that. Most cars, don't take that kind of driving straight over those things. Would that feel abusive, or did that feel just fine? Like,
no, it felt great, actually. I mean, the more you use, the better it felt. And that was a big thing that was developed by the whole team. When you go from a normal next-gen NASCAR to the Garage 56 car, a lot of the development was done on that side. So the drivability of it, the way you can attack curbs, there aren't many NASCAR tracks that you're attacking curbs like that. So that was kind of an open thing for us to work on. And that became a big kind of avenue for lap time that we found. And I think we saw it in Virginia there, how well it suited the curbs and everything.
That's really cool. What was your favorite section of that track in that car?
I think by the end of it, the S's were pretty cool. I mean, to be flat through the S's in a 3,000-pound car was shocking to me. I couldn't believe. I thought it was going to be like a full lift over the second curve, wait for it to land, and to be able to do it flat, I was very impressed by. And that whole section, even downshifting twice for turn 10, the quick left-hander, that corner felt quick. I mean, I've been there in some proper GT cars back in the GTLM days, and this thing felt like you were, flying up there. So I think having that high horsepower and weight kind of behind you going into a lot of those sections, it definitely gets your adrenaline pumping.
Yeah, we should also talk about the day that you got the lap time, because you didn't have a lot of opportunities to get a hot lap.
Yeah.
We had a lot of stuff happening. There were a lot of cars trying to get for the same amount of time. I didn't count how many hot laps you had, but there weren't a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, it was a stressful day. I mean, I got the call to because I was only the coach for the whole program. So I got the call to come to the lightning lap, a week before the event. And I didn't know what they really wanted us to do, to go for a lap, or it was just going to be for you guys to kind of see the car and get some pictures and videos of it. I didn't know we were going for a proper lap time. So when I got there, I was changing, I remember, and someone comes in the truck and they're like, the Eagle has landed. I'm like, what's that mean? He's like, Mr. Hendrick's here. I'm like, why is Mr. Hendrick here? And they're like, well, we want to beat the track record. I'm like, no one told me that. Like, oh, like now the pressure's like properly on. And I had just done like a little show lap in the car at Charlotte on the Roval before the Cup race. And before I went out, I heard someone say like, oh, you better not crash it. There's only like 2 of these in the world. And Mr. Hendrick's like, don't worry. If there's one thing I've learned about race cars is you can always fix them. So, go have fun and push it. So I was definitely nervous that he was there to kind of watch this whole thing unfold, but I knew that he was fully supportive of us kind of pushing and going for it. So yeah, the plan for the day was, I think we had 1 set of tires to kind of learn the track. So I think we did like 2 5-lap runs, and then we put a set of tires on to go for 1 lap. And we went for the lap, and I think we were 0.08 off the record at that point. And like I knew the lap wasn't perfect, but we were out of tires at that point. And I remember I was changing, and I remember someone coming up to me and being like, "Do you think you could go faster?" I'm like, "I probably could have gone a little bit faster, but like that stinks. That's too bad." And then Mr. Hendrick comes up. It's like, "I think you can beat it. I think you can go faster." I'm like, "I don't know." And then so we had the set of tires that the car traveled on, which the car had been traveling on those tires for like a year at this point. It was always the travel set. And they're like, it's a brand new set, but it's an old set that's kind of been rolled around on. So we're not sure what they're going to be like. So I'm like, yeah, like I'm up to go for it again if you guys want me to try. So when I went out, I did that slow warm up lap. I'm like, the grip feels like it's fine. And then when I went accelerated for that lap, and you see me like tightening my belts coming up to the line, the car had a massive vibration. I think the wheels and the tires weren't properly kind of weighted, and the vibration was massive. So when I got down to turn one, I'm like, oh man, like I'm gonna brake late and hopefully it holds. And then it didn't hold, and I'm like, all right, well that wasn't great, but I guess we're gonna keep going for it. So I didn't have like any predicted lap time on the dash like we usually do. So I was just pushing the whole lap, and then when I was coming across the line, I'm like, this could be like 4 seconds off the pace for all I know if the grip was down. But when we came across the line, I think we picked up like 4 or 5 tenths from our previous run. So yeah, we were all so happy. And then when we heard later on that we lost the track record, we were like, at least we left the track with the record. We could be happy with that.
Well, I mean, we should talk a little bit about the Subaru Airslayer. Completely race car, in the same way, but very different style of race car, which was really cool to see how close you two were in terms of time.
Yeah.
Because the difference between you two was less than a second. But I think there was also a little bit of like, I could probably go faster than him. Oh, I could probably go faster than him going on too, which was fun to see.
Well, I heard that he had left the track already, and then they called him to come back, right? Is that true?
I can confirm that. I can ask him. I'll ask him because I'm talking to him next.
Yeah, and I thought they like flew in bigger turbos for more power and all sorts of stuff. So we at least left with dignity, knowing like, all right, we gave it our best shot with our little 2 sets of tires, and I think we were pretty happy with it. I think we didn't think we'd get anywhere near the record, so we were pretty proud of the effort, I think.
Well, it was awesome to see it happen in person, and it's been great talking to you to get the download on the lap itself.
Yeah, no worries. I had a great time. I'd love to come back to try some more. It was a good time.
Any chance we can get you out there with a prototype next year?
We were talking about that. I think that would definitely set the record. We'd probably have to talk to Kerrigan up there to see if that would even be allowed. But I don't know. Yeah, it would be. I think it would be quite scary to drive a GTP car around there, just with how fast they are these days. Going up the S's, I think physically and like mentally having the speed to kind of do the direction change would be the bigger issue than the car being able to. I think it would be more of a human limit than a car limit, but it would be a good time.
Yeah, we'll put the cameras on to find out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good deal.